Let me ask you a strange question. What is it at the end of the runway? For most people, it looked like the end of the road. Concrete stops, light stops, everything stops. But for pilots, that is exactly where the journey begins. Because the runway doesn't exist for the airplane to stay on it. It exists so that airplane can leave it. When I was exactly sitting where you are today, a college student with head full of dreams, and I thought success meant finding a safe runway in life, a stable career, predictable path, and a life where everything is exactly mapped out. But life had a different flight plan for me. And every meaningful journey I have taken started with a moment that looked like an ending. Let me explain. Aviation teaches you something very fascinating. Before every takeoff, the aircraft stands still, isn't it? And if you look it from outside, nothing is happening. But inside the cockpit, there is myriads of procedures. Everything is getting ready and prepared for a liftoff. And life works exactly the same way. And some of the most important moments in your life will make you feel that you're stuck on the runway. Lots of uncertainty. You feel pressure. What are you doing with your life? Are you doing the right thing? And slowly, doubt starts whispering. Maybe this is the end. But aviation teaches you something very powerful. The runway is not the end of motion. It is the beginning of acceleration. Now let me share you something which pilots understand so deeply. Before every takeoff roll, there is a speed called V1. And before V1, pilot can stop. But after V1, there is no stopping. Even if things goes wrong, even if the engine catches fire, the aircraft must take off. Because the only safe way forward is up. And life has a V1 moments too. The moments when you must stop asking, am I ready? Because readiness is a myth. No pilot in history has ever felt 100% ready for their first solo flight. No entrepreneurs have felt fully ready to start a company. No dreamers have felt fully prepared to chase something extraordinary. But they moved anyway. And that moment helped them grow and rise. Let me share something very fascinating about aviation students. The first time they sit in the cockpit, their hand shakes. The sky looks too big. The runway looks too short. And the responsibility feels enormous. But then something magical happens. They push the throttle, the aircraft accelerates. The ground started to look blurred, and suddenly the aircraft lift off. And they realized something very profound. The sky was never the problem. The courage to leave the ground was. Then I will share you another aviation truth which I learned. Every flight faces turbulence. Some are small ones, but some are violent shaking. Passengers, whenever they feel turbulence, they panic. And you know what pilots do? Almost nothing. Because turbulence is not a sign of danger. It is a proof that the aircraft is climbing through changing air. And life's turbulence work exactly the same way. Confusions, failures, rejections, unexpected detours, all are very uncomfortable. But mostly they are a sign and a proof that you are entering a new altitude of growth. Turbulence is not a signal to stop flying. It is a proof that you are climbing. Now I want you to imagine something with me. There are two lives. In the first life, you take years preparing, thinking, learning, and the runway keeps extending. Your preparation becomes comfort, comfort becomes delay, and delay becomes regret. And one day, the runway ends without the takeoff. And in the second life, you push the throttle, you try, you fail, you learn, you again try, but you moved anyway. And slowly you discover something very beautiful. That runway, that sky is much bigger than the runway. Now here's what most people miss. Dreams will never fit on the runway of comfort. It belongs in the sky of courage. Now the real truth is, Ant Asti Prarambh. End is the beginning. Just think of it. Every landing is actually a beginning of another journey. New passengers, new destinations, new story. The flight ends, but the purpose continues. And the same is true for your life. Your degree is not your destination, it is the runway. Your first job is not the destination, it is the runway. Even your failures are your runways. Because every ending within it carries the possibility of a new takeoff. And one thing which aviation has taught me is this. The sky does not belong to the smartest people. The sky does not belong to the richest people. The sky does not belong to the luckiest people. It belongs to those who have the courage to leave the ground. So if you ever find yourself stuck at the end of the runway, remember this. Remember this. Runway was never been your destination. Runway was never meant to be a destination. It was built for one purpose. To give you enough speed to break gravity and rise. Because sometimes the most beautiful journey in life started exactly where the road seems to end. Thank you.